Memory does not exist, please try to access later 101 romance novels. I saw a steady stream of water emerging from Shen Tingshuang's fingertips, pouring on the apricot tree in front of him. Shen Tingshuang almost thought he had hallucinations. To confirm, Shen Tingshuang ran to another apricot tree again, thinking that what he had just thought about was watering. Thoughts fell, and a lot of water gushed out of my fingertips. Shen Tingshuang thought about stopping, and the water from his fingertips stopped. Shen Tingshuang tried several times and found that the water can indeed be controlled by him, but Shen Tingshuang did not dare to try for too long. No effect. After staying in place for a meeting, Shen Tingshuang lifted the plastic bag and continued to climb the mountain. When I found the courtyard, it was already afternoon. Looking at the courtyard house in front of him, the smile in his eyes was even greater. This courtyard house is much larger than in memory. The door outside was closed tightly. Shen Tingshuang walked to the front and pushed it lightly, the door opened, and the embroidered lock fell on the ground. Shen Tingshuang raised his feet and walked in. Because there was no one inhabited for a long time, spider webs were everywhere in the courtyard. Shen Tingshuang put the plastic bag he had brought and set it up by the door, and picked up a dead branch on the ground. Clear out the spider web. At the corner of the yard, there is a broom made of bamboo. Shen Tingshuang picked up the broom to clean up the dust in the yard briefly. The inner courtyard alone is huge, with flower beds and parking spaces, but the flowers in the flower beds are gone, and you can't even see the dead branches. Not to mention the size of the courtyard. It took Shen Tingshuang for more than 2 hours to simply clean up the dust in the courtyard. However, Shen Tingshuang also figured out the layout of this courtyard. To the south is the main house. It should be the place where the original grandmother lived. There are living rooms, bedrooms, kitchens, and other small rooms. Most of the rooms are empty. There are also rooms on the west and east sides, which are smaller than those on the south side, but they also have complete facilities. There are warehouses in the south room, but there is nothing in it, only a few packages of seeds of plants that are not visible. Shen Tingshuang guessed that it was probably during the years when the original grandmother was gone, someone came up and took away the contents of the house. Shen Tingshuang cleared the dust outside the door and piled it up, and went to the main house in the north. The sun had already set, and Shen Tingshuang pressed the switch at the door, but he didn't expect a few lights to turn on. Shen Tingshuang breathed a sigh of relief. If it gets dark, living in a dark house is really a bit oozing. The shower in the bathroom is no longer available. There are 2 stoves in the kitchen, one is for gas, and it is no longer on fire, and the other is for wood burning, but there is no firewood in the kitchen. This environment is really difficult. But for Shen Tingshuang, it's great to have a place to live, not to mention that there is such a big mountain under his feet. There was a lighter next to the wood stove. He listened carefully and tried it. Fortunately, it could ignite. Shen Tingshuang put down the lighter, picked up some dead branches outside the door, and started to light a fire and boil water. Taking advantage of this time, Shen Tingshuang went to clean the bedroom again. Most of the cabinets were empty. After scrubbing, Shen Tingshuang opened the cabinet door for air. In the bedroom, Shen Ting's Dao Bleki cleaning is the bed that will be used later, and all the original duvet covers are removed and placed outside the door. After cleaning the bed several times with a rag, Shen Tingshuang spread the quilt cover he bought on the bed. Fortunately, it is summer and it is okay without a quilt cover. The quilt was useless, so I put it on when I bought it, but Shen Tingshuang still took a piece of water for the clothes I bought. After finishing this work, the water was almost boiled. Shen Tingshuang took it to take a bath, then boiled a second pot of water, and blanched the cups and bowls he bought. Then I went to rest. Originally, Shen Tingshuang was worried that he would sleep here, and would be a little scared at night. As a result, he fell asleep as soon as his head was against the pillow. Shen Tingshuang got up early in the morning, went to the apricot tree first, and smelled the scent of apricots at a distance of 10 meters. Shen Tingshuang looked up. Unexpectedly, several of them were very tall. The small apricot tree, not to mention the big fruit now, and each color is full. Shen Tingshuang almost thought that he was walking in the wrong place, and checked his surroundings again and again, and found that this was the Xingzilan that had been here yesterday. Shen Tingshuang picked off an apricot, which was completely 3 times the size of yesterday. The attractive fragrance, refreshing, and the color of yellow and red, which greatly improved people's appetite, made people drool. After listening to the skin, he peeled off the skin and took a bite. The sweet taste instantly filled the entire lips and teeth, and the juice was as sweet as jelly and jade dew. Shen Ting's eyes were full of surprise. The sourness I had eaten yesterday is gone, and the soft and sweet taste is endless aftertaste. As a master farmer, Shen Tingshuang has to admit that this apricot is the best taste she has ever tasted. I didn't eat much yesterday. This will eat delicious apricots. Shen Tingshuang ate a few in a row. Not only did I feel tired, but I didn't know if it was an illusion or something. After eating, I felt all over my body. Why did the size and taste of the apricots change overnight? Could it be the water problem yesterday? Thinking of this, Shen Tingshuang ran back to the house, took out the cup that was hot yesterday, and then tried to draw the water into the cup. After using this water yesterday, Shen Tingshuang didn't feel any discomfort all night, so Shen Tingshuang can be sure that using this water should have no effect on his body. After a cup of water was filled, Shen Tingshuang carefully observed the water, which looked no different from ordinary water. Shen Tingshuang picked up the cup and took a sip. It was sweet and delicious, like a sweet spring in the mountains. After half a cup, the brain is much clearer. What kind of special water is this? Shen Tingshuang waited for a while to make sure that his body was not abnormal, and then he ran to the house on the right. When packing up yesterday, Shen Tingshuang found that there were a few baskets in the house, which were one of the few items that could be used in the courtyard. Shen Tingshuang chose a relatively large basket, picked up the scale and plastic bag beside it, put it in the basket, and returned to Xingzi forest to pick apricots. Originally, Shen Tingshuang owed 1,000,000 debts, but yesterday it was 5,000 more. After coming to Xingyuan Mountain, Shen Tingshuang planned to settle here in the future. But for debts to be repaid, there will be more places where money will be needed in the future. For example, the courtyard houses need to be renovated. Most importantly, Shen Tingshuang still needs money to buy seeds. There are many different qualities of the same seeds. Take ordinary cucumbers. There may be cucumber seeds in the market for $1 or $5. But in college laboratories, the seeds that may be cultivated cost tens of dollars per seed, or even higher. If you want to plant all kinds of plants on the entire Xingyuan mountain, it would have to be a huge sum of money. Shen Tingshuang put the picked apricots in the basket while calculating. Right now, let's start making money from selling mountain products. The basket full of apricots was 50 catties. Shen Tingshuang carried the basket of apricots to the foot of the mountain with some effort, and wanted to buy some apricots when there were passers-by around. This season is the apricot ripening season, and Xingyuan Mountain is located in the village. Most of the people here have fields, and some people have also planted apricot trees at home. I have something in my own home, so why would you come to Shen Tingshuang this to buy? So after waiting for half an hour, no one bought it. Shen Tingshuang was not in a hurry. She put the scale aside and started to take care of the ground at the foot of the mountain. The mountain has not been taken care of for a long time, it is almost deserted, and the ground is full of weeds and wild flowers. Shen Tingshuang uprooted these useless weeds and divided them into 2 piles. The dry weeds could be burned, and the other pile was broken up and placed in the soil as fertilizer. When a small piece of land came out, the first customer was finally welcomed. Shen heard and saw that someone was looking at the apricots in the basket, put down the weeds in his hand, walked over to pick up an apricot from the basket and handed it to the other party. Taste it, it's not sweet, no money. This man is in his early 20s, wearing sportswear, and looks a little fashionable. He smelled a fragrant scent from a long distance away. He walked here following the smell, and when he heard someone talking, he looked up and was suddenly surprised. I can't even speak clearly, you. He listened deeply and nodded. Even if he quit the entertainment circle, the original body was considered a small celebrity before, and it is normal to be recognized here. This person dumbly took the apricots handed by Shen-Ting Shuang, and took a sip. The surprise in his eyes was bigger than seeing Shen-Ting Shuang just now. Then he ate all the remaining apricots in one bite. He swears that this apricot is it is the best apricot he has ever eaten. Soft, juicy, sweet, and full of aftertaste. Apart from delicious, he couldn't even find other words to describe it. Feeling calmed down, this person felt a little distressed when she saw the skin that Shen-Ting Shuang randomly tossed aside. You know, all the apricot skins are edible. Thinking of this, the man silently put his leftover nucleus into his pocket. Well, almonds are also edible. Seeing that this person was still stunned, he listened to the double and said, 5 yuan a caddy, do you want a caddy? This price is after Shen-Ting Shuang's consideration. In the ripening season of apricots, they can sell as low as 3 yuan a caddy. But this apricot tastes good, so Shen-Ting double bids 5 yuan. This person seemed to have recovered, and immediately said, come on a caddy. After thinking about it, he said, come on for 2 caddies. Anyway, his home is close, and he can come over whenever he wants to buy it. Shen-Ting Shuang smiled and said, thank you. This is his first customer. Seeing Shen-Ting Shuang smiled at himself, this person blushed, are you Shen-Ting Shuang? Why are you here? In fact, he wanted to ask Shen-Ting Shuang how he sells apricots here, but he regretted it when he said it. You don't necessarily care about him. But Shen-Ting Shuang admitted generously, I am Shen-Ting Shuang. After speaking, he pointed to Xin Yuanshan behind, I live here. Unexpectedly, Shen-Ting Shuang would take care of himself. This person said happily, I didn't expect to be a big star. He pointed to the Thre's house opposite Xin Yuanshan, my name is Xiao Feng, and I live opposite you. Hello. Shen-Ting Shuang had already weighed the apricots and handed it to Xiao Feng. Xiao Feng smelled the scent of apricots and was very happy. By the way, how do I pay for this? Shen-Ting Shuang, is it convenient to scan the code? Xiao Feng nodded, but Shen-Ting Shuang didn't expect to have a star in the air. Shen-Ting Shuang opens the payment code of the mobile Alipay. Xiao Feng scanned the code and asked, why don't you print out the QR code? No printer. When he entered the village yesterday, Shen-Ting Shuang took a look. There was no print shop around here. Oh. Xiao Feng picked up Xingzi and walked towards his house. Shen-Ting Shuang didn't care, and continued to plant weeds in the ground. After a while, Xiao Feng came back and handed Shen-Ting Shuang a piece of paper, which was still plastic wrapped on the outside. Shen-Ting Shuang took a look, it was a QR code, this is. Xiao Feng pointed to his mobile phone and said embarrassingly, I paid for your collection code, and I can find it on the phone. Thank you. Shen-Ting Shuang thanked him. In addition to the QR code, there was a line on the paper, apricot 5 yuan per caddy. Shen-Ting Shuang put the QR code on the basket and kept busy. This time, I haven't visited guests for a long time. After listening to Shuang's a lot of grass, Kyoko still has no one to care about. At noon, a few sporadic guests came over and asked for the price when they saw this apricot. Some felt that it was too expensive to buy, and most of the others only bought a caddy, which is considered a taste. It was not until the afternoon that Shen-Ting Shuang sold half of the basket of apricots, but the weeds on the south side of Xing Yuan Mountain were almost cleared by Shen-Ting Shuang. Seeing that it was not early, Shen-Ting Shuang planned to take the basket back. When we were pulling weeds today, Shen Tingshuang also found some purlins and grey ash, so I don't need to eat fruits to fill my stomach at night. Just when Shen Tingshuang turned around, he saw a car coming not far away. After thinking about it, Shen Tingshuang put down the basket and planned to wait. What if the driver is his next customer? Shen Tingshuang guessed that it was right. When the car passed her, it stopped slowly. Shen Tingshuang waved his hand, the car window rolled down a third, and there was only one person in the car. He couldn't see his face because he was wearing a black mask. But judging from the exposed eyes alone, this man should be handsome. Shen Tingshuang picked up an apricot. Would you like to taste apricots? Don't need money if it's not sweet. The man was stunned when he saw Shen Tingshuang Empress, but Shen Tingshuang picked up the apricot, and the fragrance floated through the car window. Okay. Shen Tingshuang handed the apricots to the man in the car. The man did not eat after taking it. We weighed it all. There are about 20 kilograms of fruit in the basket. Shen Tingshuang said, I'll give you 20 kilos. This is Shen Tingshuang's first major customer, so Shen Tingshuang must have a discount. The man scanned the code with his mobile phone. Thank you. He listened and waved his hands, and put Kyoko in the trunk of the men's car. The car left. Shen Tingshuang heard the mechanical female voice from his Alipay. Alipay has received 200 yuan. Shen Tingshuang was stunned. She originally wanted a discount, but she didn't expect the other party to pay more. After the man in the car walks away, he takes off his mask. If Shen Tingshuang sees it, he will sigh at first. This man is more handsome than he thought. The man sniffed the apricots, his frowning eyebrows evacuated, and the man peeled his skin and took a bite. Looking closely, there seemed to be a slight smile on his lips. Shen Tingshuang carried the basket and happily walked up the mountain to the apricot forest. Shen Tingshuang watered the remaining apricot trees with the special water before returning to the courtyard. I made a total of 325 yuan this whole day, and Alipay still has a balance of 3,953 yuan. After arriving home, Shen Tingshuang first transferred 3,000 yuan to Nuandong and left a message. The remaining 2,000 were paid off recently. After all, Shen Tingshuang doesn't like owing money to others. Looking at the 953 yuan left in Alipay, Shen Tingshuang sighed. Making money still needs to work hard. Shen Tingshuang put the phone aside, blanched the ash and purslane in the pot, and ate them directly. Before it got dark, Shen Tingshuang cleaned the flat ground outside the courtyard again before returning to the house to rest. He listened and slept peacefully, but Xiao Feng's house was not calm. After Xiao Feng bought apricots during the day, he ate a portion of it and kept the rest at home, and then went out to work. As soon as he walked in the door at night, Xiao Feng's mother asked, "Where did this apricot come from?" Xiao Feng's family had apricot trees, but the apricots in the bag were obviously not grown by her own family. Bought it from the other side. When Xiao Feng's mother heard that it was purchased by Xiao Feng, she instantly became angry. There are so many apricots in the family, so why are you spending money in a mess? Do you think it's too much money every day? Don't you think it smells good? Xiao Feng just went to buy it after smelling the scent of apricots in the morning. What kind of fragrance? Not all apricots have this taste. In all fairness, this apricot is indeed smelling, but this is not the reason for Xiao Feng to buy apricots. Xiao Feng was most afraid of his mother's thoughts, and quickly explained, "You taste it first." Xiao Feng's mother was very dissatisfied. "What can I taste? Can I still eat a flower?" Xiao Feng didn't talk nonsense, and started peeling. The scent of apricots became more intense, and Xiao Feng's mother's nagging voice became quieter. "I have eaten this apricot for a lifetime, and it must have nothing special." Xiao Feng had already peeled the apricots and handed them directly to his mother. Xiao Feng's mother also didn't answer. "I don't eat it, it's not a rare thing." Xiao Feng stuffed it directly into his mother's mouth. It's not a secret. When he ate apricots in the morning, he even ate the skins, but it was going to be tasted by his mother, so he peeled them. Xiaofeng's mother subconsciously took a bite, and the sweet juice ran down her teeth into her stomach. Xiaofeng's mother stopped nagging, and took another bite. The apricots in her mouth were gone. But the sweet scent is still between your lips and teeth. Xiaofeng's mother went to find the other half of Xingzi subconsciously, and when she looked up, she saw Xiaofeng looking at herself with a smile on her face. Xiaofeng's mother looked a little embarrassed. She took the other half of the apricot in Xiaofeng's hand. After eating it in one bite, that refreshing feeling came again. Why an apricot can bring such a pleasant mood? This apricot can't solve the gluttony at all, and the saliva in Xiaofeng's mother's mouth does not know whether it is the soft raw fluid of the apricot just now or the gluttonous saliva left behind. At this moment, Xiaofeng's mother had to admit that there were apricots in the house, but the taste was a little different. To be precise, the difference was far. What do you look at? Xiaofeng's mother calmly took the remaining apricots with the bag to another room. Xiaofeng, who said that these apricots are not all the same taste, who resolutely refused to taste it. Shen Tingshuang woke up naturally. After he got up, he drank a glass of that special water, then picked up the basket and went down the mountain. Today Shen Tingshuang brought an extra hoe. Walking a few steps out of the courtyard, Shen Tingshuang could smell the apricots. There are about 50 apricot trees in this apricot forest. After watering, all of them are full of big yellow fruits, and the collective scent is emitted. Say 10 miles, 1 mile fragrance is also there. Shen Tingshuang picked a basket full of apricots and walked down the mountain. Shen Tingshuang got up early, so it was only 7 o'clock at the foot of the mountain. No one was walking around in the village at this time, and as soon as Shen Tingshuang put down the basket, a puppy came over. This dog is about the same size as an ordinary pet dog, and the hair is a bit dirty, and some are stuck together. It is really hard to tell what kind of dog it is. But most likely it was a stray dog. The puppy walked to the basket and sniffed the apricots inside. For some reason, Shen Tingshuang had a feeling of sympathy with the dog at this moment. Shen Tingshuang squatted down, took an apricot, peeled it, and fed it to the puppy. The puppy sniffed twice, and then gently held the apricots from Shen Ting's hands. Be careful, there is a nucleus in it. The puppy didn't seem to care, squatted on the spot and ate. Within half a minute, an apricot was eaten, and a bare nucleus was spit out from the mouth. The dog hesitated for a while and then ate the nucleus into his mouth. Hearing a crack, the nucleus seemed to be bitten. The puppy ate the almonds and spit out a pile of broken kernels. Shen Tingshuang thought the puppy was interesting, so he peeled another one and fed it. The puppy ate more than 10 in a row before stopping. Shen Tingshuang wanted to touch its back, but the puppy was unwilling and quickly avoided. Shen Tingshuang thought it was a bit funny. I'm busy, if you want to eat, take it yourself. The puppy seemed to understand Shen Tingshuang's words and nodded slightly. Shen Tingshuang picked up and walked up the mountain. When pulling the weed yesterday, Shen Tingshuang saw a bamboo forest on the west side. She wanted to transplant all these bamboo forests to the foot of the mountain, some big bamboos. Shen Tingshuang planned to have them. After cutting, make the fence under the mountain, and the rest is transplanted. This is one way to look good, and the other way is to prevent people from entering. However, the amount of work is a bit large, so Shen Tingshuang plans to finish this in the next few days. When Shen Tingshuang cut down the first bamboo, Xiaofeng came over. This time he directly bought 10 jin. After Shen Tingshuang weighed 5 pounds, he took a few more to Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng thanked him for leaving. Then came a few more customers. They were all repeat customers from yesterday. They came here today to buy at least 2 caddies, and most of them were 5 caddies. After a while, a basket of apricots fell for more than half, but no guests came. Shen Tingshuang didn't worry, and made the fence below with peace of mind. When he came back from cutting bamboo, someone was scanning the code, and Shen Tingshuang came over. This humane said, after waiting for a while to see that you didn't come, I weighed 3 pounds by myself and was scanning the code for you. By the way, I also tasted one. He didn't plan to buy it, but he passed by and smelled the scent. It was really tempting. After thinking about it, I took an apricot to taste. What he thought was that if it was not delicious, he would scan the QR code for $1. If it was delicious, he would buy a pound. As a result, he would know that apricots must be bought. He listened carefully. Okay, thank you. Don't you weigh it again? No need. It doesn't matter if there are more. When the guests saw that Shen Tingshuang trusted him so much, the smile on his face was even greater. When the guest left, Shen Tingshuang had an idea. When loading the apricots, she could pack them in bags by caddy, 1 caddy per caddy, and the customer needed several caddies to take several bags. Seeing most of the apricots in the basket, Shen Tingshuang ran to the mountain again to pick a basket of apricots. After he came down, he took the bag and packed it according to the amount of 1 caddy, and left a part of it in the basket for customers who wanted to buy it. Taste. Shen Tingshuang put the QR code on the top, and then went to the shops in the village. Shen Tingshuang bought the spatula again. The previous spatula was rusted. Yesterday, I used chopsticks for cooking vegetables. In addition, Shen Tingshuang also bought some rice, noodles, condiments, and plastic bags, and used them directly. After more than 100 yuan, Alipay's 953 yuan directly became 837 yuan. It's easy to spend money and hard to make money. On the way back, Shen Tingshuang heard the alert tone from his Alipay and received 20 yuan. It seems that another 4 caddies of apricots have been sold. When Shen Tingshuang quickly walked to the foot of the mountain, he suddenly heard a dog barking. The puppy barked fiercely, and Shen Tingshuang quickly walked over to see the scene. The puppy I met in the morning was pulling a middle-aged woman's trousers, and seemed to prevent the woman from leaving. The woman wanted to kick the puppy, but whenever she lifted her foot, the puppy would step aside, and when the woman was gone, the puppy would grab her trouser legs again. When Shen Tingshuang saw the objects in the hands of the middle-aged women, his eyes fell cold. The puppy saw Shen Tingshuang coming, barking at the woman, as if telling Shen Tingshuang that the woman was stealing. Shen Tingshuang gave the puppy a soothing look, and the latter really calmed down, slowly pacing to the side of Shen Tingshuang, squatting down, as if it were not the same dog as the snarling grin just now. Shen Tingshuang looked at the woman opposite. Auntie, stealing things is not good. The middle-aged woman seemed to be stepped on her tail. What is stealing? Which eye did you see me stealing? Shen Tingshuang looked at the middle-aged woman's arms, where there were 3 bags of apricots. Seeing Shen Tingshuang's eyes, the middle-aged woman subconsciously hugged the apricot in her arms. This is my own apricot. The apricots in the bag were very big and beautiful in color. They were watered with special water at first glance. It happened that Xiao Feng was about to go out. Hearing there was a dispute, he just came over to hear these words and said, Aunt Li, it's not that I said, your Xing's size, not even this half. The person called Aunt Li wanted to quibble, and Xiao Feng continued, except for the ones sold here, the whole village doesn't have such a big apricot. I can't buy it outside. Aunt Li tried to make the last struggle. Xiao Feng pointed to a house not far away. Aunt Li, my house has surveillance. You can find out if it's your apricot, but you said that it's not good to make trouble for this, right? Aunt Li threw the apricots into the basket and left angrily. He listened and said, Auntie, the money for the apricots should be paid too. There was a pile of apricot peels lying on the ground. Don't think about it, this Aunt Li also dried it. Aunt Li wanted to deny it, but thinking about the surveillance that Xiao Feng said, she picked up a bag of apricots and threw 5 yuan in the basket. I'll know after tasting it. After speaking, he left angrily. Shen Tingshuang looked at Xiao Feng, thank you. You're welcome. Actually, the monitoring is fake. Xiao Feng has stayed in the village for a long time, and he knows the characters of these villagers best. This Aunt Li usually likes to take advantage of it. Apricot is ready to go. As a result, he was caught and caught. Shen Tingshuang felt that Xing Yuan Shan really needs to install a camera. By the way, do you know where there is a camera around here? It's not here. Go into the city. If you can trust me, I'll go to the city and bring one back for you later. For some reason, Xiao Feng always wanted to help Shen Tingshuang. Thinking of the round-trip fare in the city alone, you have to sell 80 caddies of apricots. Shen Tingshuang gave up buying it by himself. Then I will trouble you. When Shen Tingshuang agreed, Xiao Feng was a little happy. What is the budget? Hearing deeply and thinking about it, 200. Xiao Feng then asked, what else is needed? I can take it for you together. Shen Tingshuang originally wanted to talk about computers, so he thought about his Alipay balance. No, thank you. It's okay, I'll probably bring it back to you at night. Shen Tingshuang thanks again. After Xiao Feng left, Shen Tingshuang squatted in front of the puppy. Thank you. The puppy raised his neck and slowly walked away from Shen Tingshuang. This action made Shen Tingshuang a little bit uncontrollable. He couldn't tell that the puppy was a bit arrogant. I was busy until noon, and the sun made people feel uncomfortable. Shen Tingshuang was about to go back and saw a young lady walking over with a bottle of soda. This young lady is called Li Ying. The company is going to hold a team-building activity. One of the planned spots is this village. She came to step on it first. Unexpectedly, it was so hot today. Li Ying bought a bottle of ice at the convenience store in front. Apricot-flavored soda. Open the lid, the air inside kept blowing out, accompanied by the sweetness of apricots. Li Ying took a few big mouthfuls, and the heat in her body disappeared. Li Ying sighed. In summer, I have to drink this soda to quench my thirst and dissipate some heat. Li Ying took the water in his hand and continued to walk forward. Then he smelled apricots, which smelled more like apricots than in his hands. The soda smells good. Following the fragrance, Li Ying walked to the basket unconsciously. Shen Tingshuang, would you like to buy apricots? You can taste them first. No money is needed if they are not sweet. Li Ying picked up an apricot, peeled it and fed it into his mouth. Li Ying closed his eyes unconsciously. This apricot meat is very memorable in the mouth. If the apricot soda can quench thirst and dissipate heat, then this apricot is more effective than the soda just now. If you bite it down, you can't wait for your mouth to be full of sweet juices and the heat of your body will be covered. Squeeze it all down. After an apricot was eaten, Li Ying was exhausted, and she wanted to eat more to relieve her gluttony. I want 2 caddies. If it wasn't for the difficulty of carrying, Li Ying could not wait to buy the rest of the apricots. Li Ying took 2 caddies of apricots and left. Looking at the soda in his left hand, Li Ying threw it directly into the trash can not far away. Before the comparison, I felt that the apricot soda was sweet and antipyretic. After eating the apricots, the sweetness of the soda was obviously piled up with all kinds of saccharin. After Li Ying left, Shen Tingshuang also returned to the courtyard, cooked rice and sautéed the wild vegetables left over yesterday. Because there were condiments and rice, this meal was considered the best one to eat. After lunch, Shen Tingshuang took a nap, then took a basket from the east room, picked a basket of apricots and went down. This time Shen Tingshuang took a big shovel down. During the time spent in the courtyard at noon alone, Shen Tingshuang Alipay received 105 yuan. Shen Tingshuang put the apricots aside, packed them by caddy, and went to the mountain to fill another basket with apricots before continuing to chop the bamboo. When Xiao Feng came back, he saw Shen Tingshuang planting bamboo, and a large colorful sunset floated in the sky in the distance. The scenery was beautiful and beautiful. This made Xiao Feng subconsciously pick up the DSLR on the co-pilot and face Shen not far away. I took a double shot. Shen Tingshuang planted the bamboo and saw Xiao Feng standing aside. Shen Tingshuang put down the tool in his hand and walked over. Facing the sunset, Xiao Feng felt that Shen Tingshuang walking towards him was like walking out of a painting. Shen heard and saw that Xiao Feng did not respond for a while. What's the matter? Xiao Feng quickly gave Shen Tingshuang the bag in his hand, and said, I bought the camera, the latest model is 199 yuan, and it is inside. 360-degree high-definition shooting, dust-proof and waterproof, can also capture images at night, and the phone can be real-time. Check the monitoring content. The captured content can be stored for 10 days. This camera supports USB interface charging. It's no problem when it's fully charged for 3 days. I'll fill it up for you in the store. Xiao Feng was very considerate. Shen Tingshuang bought this camera to prevent someone from stealing the apricots. The most important thing is that the camera is placed at the foot of the mountain and cannot be connected to electricity, and it is hung outside. It is inevitable that there will be wind and rain. For one thing, dust and waterproof is a must. Thank you, I'll transfer you the money. Shen listened to both. Xiao Feng blurted out, is it convenient to add a WeChat? Shen Tingshuang was stunned. Xiao Feng explained, when you planted the bamboo just now, I took a picture of you from the back. If you don't mind, I will send it to you on WeChat later. Shen Tingshuang, okay. Xiao Feng is his first customer, and he has also helped himself a lot. It's okay to add a friend. The two added friends, Shen Tingshuang directly transferred 200 yuan to Xiao Feng. Xiao Feng didn't answer, it only costs 199 yuan. Shen Tingshuang, I didn't count the hard work for you, just keep it. Xiao Feng did not continue to struggle, and only $1 was involved. After receiving the transfer, Xiao Feng put away his mobile phone and said, I will send you the photo after the photo is repaired later. Shen Tingshuang, okay. Xiao Feng took the initiative to help Shen Tingshuang hang up the camera before returning. In the evening, the apricots finally sold almost. Shen Tingshuang waited for a while, and in the end there were about 2 kilograms of apricots left and no one bought them. Now, Shen Tingshuang did not delay, picked up the basket and walked up the mountain. The and shovel are placed at the foot of the mountain next to the bamboo forest just transplanted. Walking to the apricot forest, Shen Tingshuang put the basket under the tree, packed the remaining apricots and took home. Shen Tingshuang washed the apricots with water, put them on the big dustpan outside the house, and then started cooking. After dinner, Shen Tingshuang looked at the apricots in the dustpan outside. The moisture was almost drained. Shen Tingshuang cut these apricots in half, put the cut apricots on the big dustpan, and took out the cores. It is placed on another small dustpan. Apricot only has 2 caddies, so in less than 5 minutes, Shen Tingshuang finished these. Shen Tingshuang took a shower again, changed her clothes, lay down on the bed, and found that she had received a WeChat message at some point. It is a photo from Xiao Feng. Shen listened to double-click and took a look. Well, the scenery in the photo is pretty good. I don't know if Xiao Feng's shooting technique is good or something. She is also pretty in the photo. For Shen Tingshuang, when a person is farming, the photos taken are rarely beautiful. She is in the middle of the photo, transplanting bamboo, giving people a particularly comfortable feeling. Shen Tingshuang conveniently clicked to save, and replied, Xiao Feng's Weibo has more than 500,000 followers. He posts 9 pictures every day. Today, he only posts 1, which is more than an hour later than usual. Unlike the past, after today's Weibo was posted, Xiao Feng began to read the comments on this Weibo. He had a hunch that this photo would definitely be popular. Sure enough, the first comment came in less than a minute. I thought I was paying attention to the photographers of the landscape, and after a closer look, my brother Feng is mighty. Xiao Feng smiled happily, and then refreshed it again. There were several more comments, and the number of reposts also increased. After reading it 3 times, I have saved the photo to my phone. Licking the screen. Mom, this won't lose a blockbuster. Produced by Brother Feng, it must be a boutique. But in 5 minutes, the number of comments broke 100, and it continued to rise. By the time Xiao Feng came over after taking a shower, the comment had been broken by 5,000. Among the many comments, Xiao Feng did not reply, and the only one he liked was "Who is this woman? I want to see her in front just by looking at her back. I guess she must look good in front of her." After Xiao Feng liked it, the comment quickly reached the front row. Everyone is saying that since Xiao Feng likes it, it means that he also recognizes that the owner of this figure is very beautiful. This way everyone was even more curious, and one after another let Xiao Feng put on the face picture. Weibo was very lively, and the person in this photo, after taking a look at the 1617 balance on Alipay, went to sleep. When she got up in the morning, Shen Tingshuang went straight to pick the apricots, ready to go to the foot of the mountain to weigh, and then came back to pick the second basket of apricots. At the bottom of the mountain, I saw a sister-in-law in her 30s. This little sister-in-law is also from the village, named Hung Mei. She saw Shen Tingshuang coming over, her eyes glowing. "Excuse me, they said that delicious apricots, did you buy them here?" Hearing and stunned, "I don't know what they said was me, but you can taste it first." Shen Tingshuang put down the basket, and then took an apricot to Hung Mei. The red plum smelled first. It's still very fragrant, it's probably this." Hung Mei peeled her skin, took a bite, her eyes were full of surprise. She is now completely certain that the apricot they are talking about is definitely this one. Yesterday they bought a bag of apricots from the house next door. The baby from that family had to be like something. Her child, Xiaobao, went to play and happened to see it. He ate an apricot from the child, and the child cried heartbreakingly for a long time. How can it be coaxed? The key is that her child, Xiaobao, cried when he heard that apricots were no longer available. They planted apricots at home, and Lu San, the husband of Hung Mei, saw his child want to eat apricots, so he went to his tree and picked a lot. As a result, Xiaobao was still the same as before, vomiting after one bite. Yes, their child Xiaobao usually doesn't like to eat fruits. He was only 3 years old and often had constipation. He went to the hospital many times, but every time he went to the doctor to eat more, he explained that he had to eat more fruits and vegetables, but the child just didn't want to eat. The family bought more fruits and vegetables in order for the children to eat more fruits and vegetables. They didn't work hard. They bought durians for 200 yuan apiece, but the children didn't eat them. They bought 60 kilograms of cherries, but the children still didn't eat them. In short, as long as they can eat fruit, they almost buy it once, but the children just don't eat it. Today, Xiaobao insisted on eating apricots. Everyone thought it was because of rushing to eat with the kid next door. But when they go to bed at night, their children are still reading this apricot. Hung Mei took care of this. No, early in the morning, Hung Mei came to Shen Tingshuang directly after inquiring the next door. After the whole apricot was eaten, Hung Mei felt that her apricots were all kind of shit. No wonder Xiaobao didn't eat it. "Boss, give me 10 caddies. If the child likes to eat, she buys more. Besides, this apricot is really real. Good to eat." Okay. Shen Tingshuang weighed 10 pounds to Hung Mei. Hung Mei happily carried apricots home. No, when she got home, her mother-in-law saw so many apricots, her face turned black. "Why did you buy so many apricots?" She knew that Xiaobao was clamoring for apricots yesterday, but she didn't expect Hung Mei to buy them. "Come back more." Hung Mei explained, "This apricot is really delicious." Xiaobao ran out of the house when she heard her mother came back, and when she saw her mother carrying a bag, she happily ran towards her mother with short legs. "Mom, I want to eat. After speaking, I took an apricot directly out of the bag, ready to bite. His grandma immediately snatched the apricots from the child. My dear grandson, you want to eat it, and grandma will peel it for you. Xiaobao opened his round eyes and watched his grandmother peel the skin. After Lu San's mother peeled the skin, she took out the core and divided the fruit into several pieces. Lu San and the others saw the apricot juice running down Lu San's mother's hands down. I don't know who swallowed, but the voice is quite loud. But no one cared. The apricot flesh showed a nice golden yellow color, and after peeling it, the fragrance became stronger. Xiao Bao couldn't wait to bite off a piece of apricot flesh from his grandmother's hand. Little Bao quickly ate the apricot meat in his mouth, then went to break his grandma's hand, and ate the other half. After a while, the whole apricot was eaten clean. Little Bao seemed to be unsatisfied and took his grandma's hand. The remaining juice licked. Lu San's wife was a little distressed when she saw the child like this. Xiaobao, my mother bought a lot of apricots, so I'm not afraid that I won't have to eat. So the family surrounded the child and started peeling. Lu San couldn't stand the smell, so he ate one himself. As a result, he took a bite and couldn't help but explode. Fuck, it's delicious. Lu San's mother glanced at Lu San. What do you say in front of the child? Lu San said immediately, baby, Dad didn't say anything just now. Xiaobao didn't seem to hear what Lu San said at all, and was full of thoughts on this apricot. Mom, you can try one too. Hung Mei has eaten apricots, so he knows the taste. When Lu San's mother saw these two eating apricots, she showed her expression as if she had eaten something super delicious, so she took a bite dubiously. As a result, the surprised expression on her face couldn't hide. Live. Lu San laughed when he saw this. Lu San's mother nodded again and again. Xiaobao, his mother, you bought it well. Just now, Lu San's mother, who felt that 10 caddies were a little too much, would feel that she could eat 10 caddies of apricots by herself. A rather festive-looking person walked out of the car. Is anyone there? Shen Tingshuang seemed to hear someone shouting and ran down the mountain. When this person saw Shen Tingshuang, surprise flashed in his eyes, and soon his expression returned to normal. Where did you buy delicious apricots? Shen Tingshuang, is her apricot so famous? How many caddies of apricots are in your basket? The cause of the incident is also attributed to Qin Yuez, who bought more than 20 caddies of apricots in one go. That day, Qin Yuez came back from the crew, and finally met an illegitimate fan following a car. Since Qin Yuez's debut, the illegitimate fan has been the most disgusted. However, the higher Qin Yuez's reputation, the more illegitimate fans. In order to avoid illegitimate fans that day, Qin Yuez drove very quickly. After Qin Yuez got rid of the illegitimate fans who followed the car, he didn't know where he drove. Qin Yuez didn't turn on the navigation, and drove the car as he pleased. As a result, he went to the foot of Xianyuan mountain and bought Shen Tingshuang's apricots. As Qin Yuez's agent, Ai Ming couldn't find Qin Yuez and was about to die. Later, he contacted and found that Qin Yuez was not only not angry, but also seemed to be in a happy mood. He said that he would be back soon. Ai Ming, as well as Qin Yuez's assistant Xiao Yu, waited for Qin Yuez's return at Qin Yuez's house. As a result, he saw Qin Yuez pick up a big bag of apricots. Up to now, Ai Ming doesn't know how to describe the mood at that time, that is, you are particularly worried about a person, and he came back without incident, with a bag of apricots in his hand. This apricot tastes good. Qin Yuez said this at the time. Apricots are really good, but they are high in sweetness. After entering the entertainment industry, Qin Yuez has strict control over his diet and other aspects. Therefore, although apricots are delicious, he also ate one. Qin Yuez put the rest on the table. Xiaoyu didn't have much demand for food. At the first time when Qin Yuez was not popular, he had a box lunch with Qin Yuez, and even occasionally only boiled vegetables for dinner. Afterwards, Qin Yuez became hot, and Xiaoyu's food was better, but if he had to eat poorly, Xiaoyu was not unacceptable. At this time, the apricots Qin Yuez picked up, after placing them on the table, Xiaoyu smelled the scent. He took an apricot out of the bag and said, "This apricot seems to be delicious." Many fans have also given fruits to Qin Yuez, as well as those bought from abroad, and Qin Yuez sometimes distributes them to the staff. It can be said that Xiaoyu also ate a lot of good fruits. But Xiaoyu had to admit that this apricot was not worse than the best one he had eaten before. Ai Ming took a look, then withdrew his gaze, preparing to continue to ask Qin Yuez what happened before. As a result, he smelled the scent. Xiaoyu on the side had already peeled his skin, and the scent of apricots came out completely. Then, Ai Ming saw Xiaoyu feed the apricots into his mouth, and the juice splashed out. This scene seemed to be slow motion, and Ai Ming swallowed. After that, Ai Ming suddenly forgot to ask Qin Yuez the question, and followed Xiaoyu to eat apricots. In less than half an hour, the two of them had finished drying more than 20 caddies of apricots. Strictly speaking, apricots cannot be eaten too much, but the two greedy people can't control themselves at all. Who makes this apricot so delicious? The two of them still felt uncomfortable after eating. They found a hammer and smashed the apricot kernels and ate the almonds inside. Fortunately, the two of them were fine the next day. Xiaoyu had planned to buy some apricots back the next day, but Qin Yuez received an emergency notice. This time it is because of the birthday party for Qin Yuez. Since Qin Yuez's debut, he has spent his birthday with fans every year. When everyone was discussing the banquet, Xiaoyu proposed to buy some apricots back. Qin Yuez was good to his fans, so he told Xiaoyu's address. As a result, Xiaoyu didn't have time today, so Ai Ming had to come over and buy it. Who would have thought that this seller of apricots is actually listening? As a person in the entertainment industry, Ai Ming knows Shen Tingshuang. Speaking of which, he and Shen Tingshuang's former manager Gu Zian also know each other. At the beginning, Shen Tingshuang's own conditions were really good, but it's a pity. The entertainment circle is a place where fish and dragons are mixed, and the fittest survives, but it seems that Shen Tingshuang now seems to be doing well. Probably there are more than 30 caddies. Shen Ting double said, Xiao Feng bought 10 caddies, the puppy ate a portion, and bought a few caddies scattered. Ai Ming, how much can you provide? A few thousand caddies is not a problem. This is still a humble statement. There are more than 50 trees in that apricot forest. After the special water is poured, some trees can even harvest more than 1,000 Jin apricots. Ai Ming choked, he forgot, there is a whole mountain here, I want 100 caddies of apricots. Then wait, I will go to the mountain to pick it for you. Shen listened to the double road. Ai Ming looked at the peach next to him again. Shen Tingshuang quickly picked up one and handed it to Ai Ming, you taste it, it must not taste worse than apricots. Ai Ming tasted peaches. If he ate apricots before, he would think that apricots are the best fruit I have ever eaten. Soft and sweet, with endless aftertaste. Now the peaches give people a summer feeling. After taking a bite, they feel like dancing on the tip of the tongue. They are completely different from the apricots. But Shen Tingshuang is right, both fruits are delicious. 100 caddies too. Shen Tingshuang first picked more than 70 caddies of apricots, then returned to the mountain and picked the peaches for Ai Ming to set up. Said it was 100 caddies, Shen Tingshuang gave Ai Ming more. Ai Ming paid and left here. For him, as long as Qin Yuez and Shen Tingshuang have nothing to do with each other, as for the fruit here, Ai Ming probably won't come to buy it again. Except for this big single business, today they are all small businesses, and there are not many customers. When Xiao Feng came back, he saw that Shen Tingshuang was still empty, and once again asked Shen Tingshuang to open an online store, Don't be afraid of trouble, I can help you. Shen Tingshuang talked about his considerations. Xiao Feng said immediately, it doesn't matter, I can pack it for you and send it to the city. Shen Tingshuang refused, it was fine once and twice, but Xiao Feng also has his own job, and this matter cannot be resolved in a long term. Xiao Feng said, or you can start the live broadcast first to accumulate fans. Then there will be more fans, and then open an online shop. Many internet celebrities accumulate fans at the beginning, and wait until the traffic is enough, and then start selling. Shen Tingshuang thinks this is fine, but what content should she broadcast? Xiao Feng seemed to see Shen Tingshuang's doubts. You can broadcast live when you are farming, anyway, putting your phone there will not affect your work, just occasionally say hello to fans who watch the video. It sounds simple, nodding intently, I'll go back to think about it at night. Back in the courtyard, the seeds that I watered this morning have grown a lot, and I feel that I can eat them directly after I water them a few more times. Today there are still 2 kilograms of apricots left. With yesterday's experience, Shen Tingshuang didn't pick many peaches today. The peaches were sold pretty much, and there was only one remaining. Shen Tingshuang did not use these 2 caddies of apricots to dry, but washed them and peeled them to remove the pits. Then add water to the pot. After boiling, Shen Tingshuang puts the apricot meat in the pot. After it is boiled again, Shen Tingshuang took a part of the firewood and simmered slowly over a low heat. Taking advantage of this time, Shen Tingshuang went to clean up the ground on the east side of the courtyard. After about an hour, Shen Tingshuang returned to the kitchen. The water in the pot had disappeared. Shen Tingshuang took the shovel and smashed the apricots, and then fry them. When the pot becomes viscous, take it out and put it into a bottle. Today's apricots were made into apricot jam by Shen Tingshuang. After eating, Shen Tingshuang began to think about the content of the live broadcast. If you really want to broadcast live, what Xiao Feng said is not a way. Before she wears the book, her roommate will also watch the live broadcast. Most of the live broadcasts are online celebrities selling clothes and makeup. For people like her, Shen Tingshuang still doesn't know if any netizens watch it. But anyway, try again. After confirming the content of the live broadcast, Shen Tingshuang posted a Weibo. A Shuang who planted a tree, A Shuang will have a live broadcast at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Everyone is welcome to come and play with me. When Xiao Feng saw this one when he was scanning Weibo, he was immediately excited. As long as he listened to the double post live link, he would help forward it. Xiao Feng even wondered if he needed to buy a hot search. But I also thought that it didn't take long to listen to the double distance full network hacking, and these still can't be rushed. Shen Tingshuang downloaded the most popular live broadcast software recently, and after registering, he chose the clothes for tomorrow's live broadcast. In fact, the clothes Shen Tingshuang bought are loose t-shirts and cotton and linen pants. You can't see the original bumpy figure when you wear them, but they are convenient and comfortable, especially in summer. Wear long-sleeved trousers for sun protection, and you don't feel hot. After cleaning up, Shen Tingshuang looked at today's income again, and sold 111 kilograms of peaches and 113 kilograms of apricots, plus yesterday's. Shen Tingshuang's current income is particularly auspicious, 2,888 yuan. Get up at 6, Shen Tingshuang first prepares the apricots and peaches for sale. After running back to the mountain, Shen Tingshuang went to Xingzilan first and found a branch where he could put his mobile phone. When it was almost 8 o'clock, Shen Tingshuang shared the live broadcast link on Weibo, and soon came first. Fans, Shen Tingshuang waved his hands, morning. I have to say that the original body has been in the entertainment industry, and filmed movies and TV series, so the lens feel is still very sufficient. Facing the camera, this body naturally knows how to face the camera. The fans didn't respond, and Shen Tingshuang didn't care, and directly introduced, this is the apricot that A Shuang planted on Zenyuan Mountain. Then he went to pick an apricot. Shen Tingshuang peeled the apricot. This apricot has a thin skin, so it's easy to peel off. This apricot is already pretty, but after peeling it, you can see the golden flesh directly inside. I listened carefully and took a bite. Xiao Feng got up early in the morning. After seeing the live broadcast link of Shen Tingshuangfa, he immediately forwarded it, and then clicked into the live broadcast room by himself. Many netizens saw the Weibo reposted by Xiao Feng, and some curiously clicked on it. Xiao Li is an office worker, and after paying attention to Xiao Feng, he also wants to learn how to dress. At this time, she was on the company's subway, saw Xiao Feng's Weibo, and clicked in. When I clicked it, I found that it was a girl wearing cotton and linen. Xiao Li stepped out and clicked on the link again, only to find that he was right. When Shen Tingshuang returned to Shen's house, Shen Xian happened to be at home, and there were still people in the house. Everyone seemed to be busy arranging something. Seeing Shen Tingshuang came back, they were all pointing. If in the past, Shen Tingshuang would definitely lose his temper, but now Shen Tingshuang didn't hear it, and walked straight to Shen Xian. Shen Xian was a little surprised when she saw Shen Tingshuang. "Sister, you are finally willing to come back. Mom and Dad miss you very much." Shen Tingduan looked at Shen Xian expressionlessly. "Why did you let Bilid take off my fruit?" Shen Xian was a little proud, but she shook her head on her face. "Sister, you misunderstood me. I never let Bilid take off your fruit." Shen Tingshuang was too lazy to talk nonsense with Shen Xian. "Okay, I'm just here to tell you." Before he finished speaking, Shen Tingshuang heard the sound of opening the door outside, and at the same time there was a pop. Shen Tingshuang turned his head and found Shen Xian, who was standing opposite, sitting on the ground, clutching her right face. Shen Xian lowered her face. No one could see the expression on her face. She knew that there was a distinguished guest coming from home today, and Father Shen and Mother Shen would definitely come back early. Father Shen saw Shen Tingshuang standing in front of Shen Xian, and saw Shen Xian sitting on the ground, covering her left face. "Shen Tingshuang, I didn't expect you to be so vicious at your young age. Quickly apologize to your sister." The successive roars made people see that Shen's father had no affection for Shen Tingshuang. "Shen Xian, are you okay?" Mother Shen helped Shen Xian up and glanced at the opposite Shen Tingshuang, with a look of disapproval in her eyes. The three people stood in a row, as if a family were fighting an enemy with the same enemy. And their enemy is Shen Tingshuang. As a ginseng who has lived for thousands of years, what she hates most is being wronged. Now her spiritual veins have recovered 8%, so just a little bit of energy is needed to have a lot of strength. Slap! Shen Tingshuang stepped forward and slapped Shen Xian seemingly, but in fact this slap contained a lot of power. The whole house was quiet. 5 clear fingerprints appeared on Shen Xian's face, and her cheeks swelled visibly. Shen Xian only felt that her head was dizzy, and there was still a smell of blood in her mouth. Shen Tingshuang's slap used her strength, but it seemed that she didn't use any strength at all. Father Shen and Mother Shen did not expect that Shen Tingshuang would suddenly hit someone. After Shen Tingshuang was picked up home, although they did not deal with Shen Xian, they never said about beating. For a time, Shen's father and Shen's mother did not react. "Since you said I hit you, then I have to sit down and take it seriously." Shen Tingshuang crossed the three of them and walked towards her bedroom. After a few steps, she suddenly turned back, not to mention, slap herself. "It's not the same as someone else's slap, my good sister." When the words fell, Shen's father and Shen's mother looked at Shen Xian's left face. In order to make Shen's father and Shen's mother believe in herself, Shen Xian's slap was not small, and there is still a red mark, but the thumb mark is facing upwards. It was completely different from the direction of Shen Tingshuang's thumb pointing to the ear. Shen Xian covered her face again, crying and ran back to her room. When she passed by Shen Tingshuang, she seemed to want to hit Shen Tingshuang. However, Shen Tingshuang was like a great god. Xian herself was bounced to the ground by the rebound force. Tisk tusk tusk. Shen Tingshuang despised it even more, and it was not ashamed to dare to get it in front of her with such a calculation. In addition to teaching Shen Tingshuang also planned to pack a few sets of quilts and take them back to Xing Yuanshan. She always felt that the quilts here were comfortable. In addition, a wounded came here today, so she couldn't sleep in bed at night, so she had to prepare a comfortable nest for herself. After receiving the luggage, Shen Tingshuang took the big snakeskin bag and went downstairs, and found a bunch of people sitting downstairs. Father Shen changed his usual arrogance and sat on the sofa very modestly at the moment. Seeing Shen Tingshuang coming out and holding two big snakeskin pockets, everyone who was talking looked up at Shen Tingshuang. Shen Tingshuang took the bag and walked downstairs. He ignored everyone and opened the door directly. An old man standing at the door, seeing Shen Ting double open the door, his eyes lit up. This chapter is not finished, please click on the next page to continue. Girl, do you know I'm coming? Shen listened and shook his head, I just want to go out. When Father Shen and others heard the sound, they immediately came to the door and prepared to say hello, only to find that the old man said, why are you going out? I am here to see you today. Everyone was stunned. On the first day after wearing the book, Shen Tingshuang used hawthorn to save a heatstroke father in order to complete the task. No one thought that this old man belonged to Pei's family. It was also a coincidence that Father Pei went out by car. An accident occurred at the driver's house that day, and Father Pei asked the driver to leave first. Anyway, it's not far from home. Father Pei intends to walk back by himself, but the distance is not far away, but the temperature is high. When he walks, he has a heat stroke. After the old man regained consciousness, he saw Shen Tingshuang leave, and he began to ask his son Pei Wenxue to find someone who saved him. After Pei Wenxue heard about the old man, he took his old father to the hospital for a medical examination, and at the same time ordered the old secretary to find out who saved his father. After finding out, the Pei family must be grateful. After searching in many ways, the secretary told Pei Wenxue that it was the girl from the Shen family who rescued the father. Ordinarily, after finding him, he should come to Shen's house to thank him as soon as possible, but the physical examination of Father Pei in the hospital has not yet ended, so Pei Wenxue insisted on waiting for his father to come to his home to thank him personally after the examination. During this period, it happened that Pei Wenxue had a project to discuss, and it was today without delay. Yesterday Pei Wenxue called Shen Tian to say that they will come to thank you today, and Shen Tian started preparing early in the morning. When the company's affairs were finished, Pei Wenxue came directly to Shen's house with the thank you gift. Elder Pei chose some thank you gifts on his own and rushed over, so it was a little late. Shen Xian knew about this yesterday. She didn't save Father Pei, nor did she think that Father Pei was listening and saving. So when Father Shen asked about it yesterday, Shen Xian answered ambiguously. Therefore, both Shen's father and Shen's mother believed that it was Shen Xian who saved Father Pei. Pei Wenxue thought that the Shen family had only one daughter. After all, when Shen Tingshuang got it back, the Shen family did not hold a banquet. So when Pei Wenxue arrived at Shen's house, he also thought that Shen Xian had rescued his father. In addition, when he said the words of thanks, Shen Tian did not raise any objections. As a result, now Father Pei came over and said that Shen Tingshuang was looking for. Everyone didn't react. Father Shen glanced at his daughter, and her virtue could save Father Pei. Mother Shen glanced at Shen Xian, and saw the latter biting her lower lip, looking at a loss. Shen Xian never expected that Shen Tingshuang really saved Father Pei, but why didn't she say? Later, Shen Xian thought that Shen Tingshuang probably didn't expect that he was saving old man Pei. After all, although they are all in City B, Pei's family is bigger than Shen's family after all, and she has never seen Father Pei, let alone Shen Tingshuang. Maybe Shen Tingshuang only thinks he saved an ordinary grandfather. At this time, Pei Wenchu's impression of Shen Tian and Shen Xian suddenly fell to a freezing point. Since he was not the one saved by himself, why should he admit it? Shen Tingshuang looked at Elder Pei. Is there anything to do with me? It is said that even if you don't know the identity of Elder Pei, speaking to an older person, your tone should be respectful. But Shen Tingshuang Nialai is a ginseng essence that has lived for thousands of years. In her opinion, Father Pei's age is just a child of humans. Naturally, there is no respect for the elderly in her tone, and it sounds just very polite. Shen Tian winked wildly beside him, but he didn't even look at Shen Tian when he listened, and naturally he couldn't accept the signal released by Shen Tian. But Father Pei didn't think he was offended. Last time you saved me, I came to thank you. Shen Tingshuang didn't care at all. That's not a problem. After all, he saved Father Pei, but he also helped himself to complete the task. Shen Tian said at the right time, why don't you come in and sit and talk? Father Pei was about to come in. Shen Tingshuang said, I have something to do, let's go. Father Pei has lived such a long time, how can he not understand the rich? Just this moment, he saw that in the Shen family, the girl who saved himself is not very favored. Girl, where are you going? I send you. Originally, Shen Tingshuang didn't want to trouble Mr. Pei, but Mr. Pei directly walked out of the door with Shen Tingshuang. Hearing and thinking about it, it will be a big deal to send him some fruits later. Anyway, eating her fruit is good for him, then I will trouble you. Father Pei smiled, no trouble. Elder Pei didn't enter the door of Shen's house, and left directly with Shen Tingshuang. After the old man left, Pei Wen said in the book, then I won't bother you to rest. As he left Shen's house, his face was not as pleasant as it was when he first came. Shen Tian sent them away and went into the living room to look at Shen Xian. Neither you saved it, what do you admit? This is the first time Shen Tian has angered Shen Xian's daughter. Today, he has lost a lot of face. Although Father Pei was rescued by his daughter, it was not finally rescued by Shen Xian. As a result, they made the Pei family think it was Shen Xian, which was embarrassing. I'm sorry, Dad. Shen Xian quickly apologized, I recently saved someone, but I didn't expect that person was not Grandpa Pei. Mother Shen followed, yes, Shen Xian is usually a kind person, and it's normal to save people. Shen Tian sighed, he still understands Shen Xian's character, but Shen Xian has never seen old Pei. Mother Shen continued, furthermore, Shen Xian didn't admit that she saved Father Pei yesterday, she only said that she saved people. But everyone subconsciously thinks that since it saved people, it must be old man Pei. After all, how could Shen Tingshuang save people? As a result, it was just listening and saving. On the way back to Yuanshan, Mr. Pei said, girl, don't you live in Shen's house? Shen Tingshuang, I live in Xin Yuanshan. In just a few words, Father Pei was even more sure, Shen Tingshuang was not happy with the Shen family. Girl, you can tell me if you have any difficulties. Shen Tingshuang was reluctant to trouble others, and she didn't think that Elder Pei could help herself solve the problem. There is no difficulty. The driver in the front row was a little surprised. Father Pei has been in the business world for so long, and his speech has always been strong. Even if he spoke to a little girl so kindly today, he still took the initiative to solve the problem for her. The point is, the little girl refused. Father Pei has been sending Shen Tingshuang to the mountain, and Shen Tingshuang asked Father Pei to wait till this chapter is not finished. Please click on the next page to continue. I took a tour, picked a lot of apricots and peaches, and put the dried apricots in a small box in a bag. This fruit is not bad, eating a little every day is good for the body. Shen Tingshuang is telling the truth, these fruits are watered with her spirit. If it wasn't for the task, she didn't want to give these fruits to others at will. Okay, thank you girl. Old man Pei did not let the driver pick him up, but took the fruit himself. returned to the car and left. Shenting's double-filled fruit bag was not fastened. After a while, the scent of apricots and peaches floated out, sweet and sweet, echoing throughout the car. Father Pei took a deep breath, smelled the apricots, and looked at the dried apricots inside. Finally, he took out the box containing the dried apricots, took a piece out of it, and fed it into his mouth. Dried apricots do not have much water, but the taste of apricots doubled because of the reduction in water content. Generally speaking, dried apricots are sweet and sour, but the dried apricots do not seem to taste a bit sour. Father Pei finished eating one by one, and he still had some thoughts, so he simply took another one. The driver who drove was shocked. He drove Mr. Pei for decades. Naturally, he knew that Mr. Pei hated people eating in the car. He couldn't even drink water and smoke. As a result, today Grandpa Pei was eating dried apricots in the car. He just saw that Grandpa Pei had eaten the second piece. He was so scared that he almost couldn't stabilize the steering wheel. What made him even more shocked was that after eating this piece of dried apricots, Father Pei picked up a fresh apricot and began to peel it. The smell of apricots in the car suddenly became stronger, and the driver couldn't help swallowing. In the silent night, this swallowing sound can be said to be very obvious. Father Pei also heard it. He realized that he was eating in the car, but it smelled really good. Thinking of the beginning, it was because of him that he listened carefully to the rescue. Hawthorne. This Shen family also raised a nice girl. Father Pei is in a much better mood. Old Ding, you will also bring some apricots back later when you go back. The driver called. Lao Ding thanked him again and again. Father Pei finished peeling the skin and fed it into his mouth, regretting immediately. He regretted why he told Lao Ding to bring some apricots back. When eating dried apricots, Father Pei knew that fresh apricots must be delicious, but he did not expect that he still underestimated the deliciousness of fresh apricots. Now he thought of giving the driver apricots and peaches later. His heart ached. Pei's house arrived soon, and Father Pei filled Lao Ding with some apricots and peaches, and told him to get out, or he wouldn't want to give them away later. Old Ding took the fruits and left. He didn't understand why Mr. Pei gave the fruits a little distressed. He felt that he must have read it wrong. Mr. Pei came to the house with the rest of the fruit. After Mr. Pei entered the house, the coldness on his face became more obvious. Although Pei Wenqiu was over 50 years old, the cold sweat on his face was still spreading out when he saw Mr. Pei like this. No way, the inertia developed since childhood. Let's talk about it. Father Pei put the fruit on the coffee table. Obviously the words are flirty. Pei Wenqiu's heart is even more nervous. Father, just found out. After returning from the Shen family, Pei Wenqiu knew that he had made a mistake. No, he personally investigated Shen Tingshuang's matter. Soon, Shen Tingshuang's matter was found out. Father Pei knew that Shen Tingshuang was picked up by the Shen family when he was 18 years old. After returning, Shen Tian and Zheng Shanmei were displeased with her. Shen Tingshuang's biological mother died not long after Shen Tingshuang was born, so Zheng Shanmei can understand Shen Tingshuang's dislike. But Shen Tian is Shen Tingshuang's biological father after all. He found his daughter without telling the outside world. This made many people think that Shen Xian was the only daughter in the Shen family. Fortunately, Shen Tingshuang was rushed to live in Xin Yuanshan now. After Shen Tingshuang's grandmother died, Yuanshan was fortunately unattended. The Shen Tian also froze Shen Tingshuang's bank card, which made the girl have to sell fruit. Today, Mr. Pei also saw that the courtyard is still the same as before. This chapter is not finished. Please click on the next page to continue. Has not been refurbished at all. Shen Tingshuang's fruits are delicious, and finally the Peng family's Balian supermarket is willing to put it on the shelves to make some extra money. This Shen family is actually suppressed. It's not a thing. Father Pei peeled off the apricot skin angrily and bit down. The sweet juice seemed to heal people's mood. After Pei Wenchu finished talking about Shenting Shuang, he sat straight to the side. Father Pei pointed to the fruit in front of him, "Eat." Pei Wenchu had already smelled the scent of fruit. When he saw his father let him eat it, he took one and fed it into his mouth. His eyes lit up, "Dad, where did you buy the fruit?" Pei Wenchu can say that he has eaten all over the world, but the apricots in front of him are really the best he has ever eaten. After he finished eating the apricots, he didn't need to say any more, so he took the peach next to him and took a bite. Elder Pei tied the bag and stood up, "This is what I heard from the girl, so I don't need to say more about what to do next." After speaking, Father Pei mentioned the fruit directly to his room. Pei Wenchu was stunned while holding the peach. His father seemed to be a little guardian. After Pei Wenchu finished eating the peaches, he wiped his hands with the towel next to him. He hasn't eaten peaches like this for a long time. I don't know when the fruits were cut up by people and eaten in small pieces. It's impossible to take a whole peach in his hand and eat it like this, but after eating the peach, Pei Wenchu's frustration has disappeared a lot. He took out his mobile phone and called his secretary.